Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So today I'm actually going to be doing a video that's a little different to my usual stuff. I'm going to be doing a video on champion pools. So I've been getting a lot of questions recently on, is this the right champion pool to have, or what champion should I add into my pool to climb, or, what should I do with my what champs should I play, etc, etc. So within this video, I kind of want to debunk a lot of myths about champion pools, and then I also want to reiterate a lot of key important points that you guys need to know, so you guys are going to know everything there is to know about champion pools. So first of all, guys, strap yourselves in. It's going to be a good one, and maybe get a notepad ready because there's a lot of juicy information in this one. So first of all, guys, an important message, important key concept to understand is that you can actually climb with any champion in the game, although some champions have an easier time climbing than others. And, some champions actually perform better in specific elo ranges, and some actually perform better on certain servers. And I actually touch a little bit on this within my Katarina video, where I highlight that Katarina actually performs better in the lower elos around Platinum rather than Diamond, and actually performs better on certain servers. I think performs better on NA than it does in Korea, etc. So if you want to know more about that, you can do your own research, but it's just an important concept to understand. And this is generally because the way solo queue is designed. So solo queue is very chaotic in nature. It's very chaotic and uncontrolled. And so champions that actually can gain leads independently and spread that lead that you get across the map tend to perform better. So that's actually the main reason why certain champions perform better than others within solo queue. But first, let's bring it back to the objective of this video and the objective of champion pools in general. So, is your objective to climb the fastest way possible to maybe get a short-term rank achievement, or is it to have a long-term ranked goal that's actually going to be more of a long-term and really focused very much on improvement? So, this is very important for you guys to decide, because this will actually completely differs what champions I would recommend. So why is this important? Is because, okay, for example, champion like Katarina. Well, Katarina has the propensity to do well in gold and platinum because of her insane early game burst damage, like level 2 and level 3. She can do a lot of damage, and she has an insane snowball potential, and is very much a feast or famine playstyle. And since she doesn't require any knowledge on mana conservation, she doesn't really require much knowledge on wave control, it's very easy to operate. She has a very simple kit, and she doesn't get shut down in lower elos. This results in climbing elo, but you see a lot of Diamond 4 Katarinas that can't climb past Diamond 4, or a lot of low Platinum Katarina players. And you actually see a lot of these players with, I would say, at max Gold 4 mid lane fundamentals, which is actually very detrimental in the long term, because then they're stuck at Diamond 4 only playing Katarina, and then when they start to learn other champions, they default all the way back to Gold 4, so which is a bit of a rough time mentally for those players. So you can actually create a lot of poor habits maining these champions. So other champions like this, I would say, like Malzahar, Kassadin, Vladimir, and generally these are champions that have a very one-dimensional playstyle, and they don't really get punished for having poor mid lane fundamentals. So that's just my take on things. So it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean you don't learn anything playing these champions. You can still learn CSing, you can still learn team fighting, skirmishing, map awareness, etc. But you're not going to learn all the key mid lane fundamentals that will actually get you to high diamond, master tier, grandmaster, challenger, etc. So this also goes for short-term elo gains using champions that have just got recently buffed, or just brand new champions. You may get a little bit of elo playing these champions, but they're going to get completely reworked, or they're going to get completely nerfed, and then you're just going to waste a bunch of time playing these champions. So now, before I get into the champion pool stuff, there's a few more things I need to cover here. So every champion has strengths and weaknesses, and it is your job, it's your duty to know them for every single one of the champions in your champion pool. So you should know the ideal game pace. You should know the mini games that you're kind of playing within each game you play. You should know the objectives that you really want to achieve in the laning phase, like I cover in the videos on my channel. You should be knowing that for all the champions in your champion pool. And the reason that this is important for truly utilizing your champion pool is because you need this information in order to know when to pick each one. There's no point having a champion pool if you don't know when to pick each one. It's all about knowing this information, really going in depth on each champion, so you can actually utilize that information to get leads in lane and abuse the fact that your champion has an advantage over another champion. So next, You also need to have in mind what champions you love playing. Maybe you love a specific champion. Maybe you love a style. You know, maybe you love, or maybe it's a feeling you love. Maybe you love scaling. Maybe you love AP mages. Maybe you love early game power. Maybe, you know, there's a bunch of different things you may love. So it's really important to kind of do this deep searching within yourself, because before developing your champion pool, because if you love playing a specific champion or a style, it will help you learn faster and reach new limits that you wouldn't have otherwise reached, because you won't have the motivation playing a champion that you hate. So if you really love playing a champion, you're going to be able to play a lot more games, put a lot more time into it, and actually reach levels of gameplay that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to achieve. So, and having a well-rounded champion pool is important for a number of reasons, actually. So, one, you actually learn differing styles, so you don't become a one-dimensional player. I actually made this mistake when I first started getting into ranked game. I actually ended up getting very high elo playing one style of mid lane, high range mid lane mages. So I loved Orianna, I loved Victor, I loved Xerath, I loved Vel'Koz, all these champions. And for me, what actually happened is that when I tried to pick up new champions or different styles, I really struggled, because I had this defensive scaling mid lane mindset, and it was really hard for me to break, and it took a long time. So I went from going from diamond all the way back to like low diamond or platinum, and then had to go relearn the game again. It was an absolute nightmare. I would not recommend that for anyone. And two, by playing other champions, you actually get better at your main champions, because you learn what not to do, and you also learn, you know, say for example, you're an Orianna main, and let's just say you pick up Aurelia mid or a Kali mid or something like that. Then you're going to be saying things to yourself like, oh, that's how I can punish them more. Now I actually understand how that champion operates. Now I know what the objective they're trying to achieve. Hypothetically, guys, let's just say you're an assassin main. You know, you play Zed or you play Aurelia mid, and you're versing a Ryze. Let's just say you spend a lot of time playing Ryze. You're going to know you really want to get to your tier. If you can somehow shut down them from, you know, recalling before they get the tier, you're going to get a massive advantage, right? So there's all these little things you can learn, and even if, you know, you don't get to the highest level on that champion, you can learn how to punish them better. So that's the kind of the main advantage by, you know, broadening the styles and having a really good champion pool. So guys, getting into the champion pool specific advice, this is what I recommend. And this is my personal recommendation for both climbing and improving simultaneously. This is not just for climbing or not just for improving. This is a kind of like a 2-in-1 double whammy. So one, you need to have at least 3 or 4 champions in your pool. I would say at minimum 3, and I'll kind of get into why. Secondly, you need to have, so for the first champion I recommend having in your champion pool is you need a blindable bread and butter mid lane champions. So these are champions like Orianna, Ryze, Twisted Fate, Syndra, Zoe. I love these for solid blind picks, because even if you get countered playing this champion, you're generally going to have enough utility, you can fit into most team compositions, and they're blindable because it doesn't mean you win every matchup, but you can minimize a lot of matchups. So especially for champions like Orianna and Twisted Fate. So I can blind Orianna every single game. It doesn't even matter what I verse, whether it's a Kassadin, whether it's a Zed, whether it's an Akali, whether it's a Ryze, whatever. Because Orianna is such a flexible champion and you can play it so many different ways, I know that I can either just minimize and scale, or I can play super aggressive and push my lead and win early game anyway. So this is the benefit of playing, having one of these champions. This should be your go-to bread and butter, blindable when you're, you know, first, in maybe 1-2 in the draft, when you don't know what to pick. This is the champion to go for. And you know, a lot of these champions only require one ban. Maybe it's if you're playing Zoe, maybe it's like a Kassadin ban or something like that. Again, this should be your go-to champion. 2. You need to have an aggressive roamer/assassin in your pool. So something like a Fizz or a Talon or Kiana, Asol, Talia, Ahri. These are important for when you see the draft. The enemy teams may be full of squishies and your team has super aggressive jungler or super aggressive laners, and you know it's going to be a very fast, kill-oriented game. You know, you shouldn't be playing something like a Nivea or Orianna in these games. Maybe you're 5th in the draft, and you see all these champions. You're seeing like maybe a Janna, Nami bot lane, and then maybe you're seeing like an Aurelia, Darius top lane, and then you're seeing like they blind picked Ahri mid. You have an Elise jungle, they have a Jarvan jungle. You know it's going to be a fast-paced game. So this is where these champions really come into play, and they're really good for expanding the way you view the game, like I kind of reiterated before earlier on. Thirdly, guys, you need to have at least one AD champion in your pool. If you haven't already got it before in your Assassin or Roman champion, you need at least one AD champion. So the main reason, again, is if your jungler is locked in AP, your top lane is locked in AP, and you've seen them both lock in AP, you really need to go an AD champion. And the reason this is because if you have triple AP topside, it can be so hard to win the game. Say you're versing like an Aurelia top, and you know you're versing a Zac jungle. The Aurelia gets first item Hex Drinker, the jungler gets a first item Spirit Visage or something like that, or Adaptive Helm. You're never gonna kill them. It's really, really hard. And people always say, you know, you have an AD carry, it's enough. It's actually not enough, because if for some reason your AD carry doesn't get fed, which is more than likely going to happen, they're probably gonna feed. You know, my bot lane always feeds. I don't know about yours. If they even go even, it's not even going to be enough, because if Zac gets one kill, he's going to be absolutely unkillable. So I hate having triple AP topside. This was a principle that I got from the competitive aspect of the game, but it's a complete same for solo queue. So lastly, it is important, in my opinion, to have a niche pick in that you love in your champion pool. So when I was first climbing, I had a niche champ. I loved Xerath and Vel'Koz, and these are champs like Katarina, Zillion, and Nivea, you know, Karma Mid, all these weird off-meta champion picks that fit in when the stars align. You know, you're later in the draft, you've seen all the champions, you're like, oh, you know what? They're actually super low range and they have low engage. Maybe I can pull off an Anivia or a Xerath or a Vel'Koz. Or maybe they have no CC and I can counterpick mid with a Katarina. This is one of those niche counterpicks that you personally love. You know you can't pick it all the time, but you know it's in your pool waiting for that right moment where you can just hit them with that counter pick, and then you're off to the races. You're going to be climbing with that specific pick. This is not something I'd recommend blinding in champ selects, but it's just a good thing to have in your pool, and you end up getting really, really good at this champion as well. And it's something that actually catches people off guard. From my experience, you know, say you're a Zillion main, the enemy is going to be very confused about how to shut you down, and you're going to know a lot more about Zillion than they will. So it's just something I found that really helped me both diversify the way I view the game, and then also diversify and actually help me just me climb by viewing the way I view the game, and then also confusing the enemy at the same time. So what I want to do now is actually take you through a champion select and actually kind of reiterate some of the few key fundamentals I've talked about in this video, and like summarize this video while actually stepping you through an actual champion select. So let's dive right into that. So this is just a random champ select that I played this morning, and I kind of want to run through a few fundamentals that we kind of covered in this video previously. So looking at this video here, I highlight I'm this second pick on, I believe this is red side, which means that I'm going to be in the first two picks. So this is going to be first pick over here, and then it's going to be 1, 2 here and here. So already and this straight away from when the game starts, a few things you need to look at. One, you need to be looking at the hovers. So I've already got someone here hovering Nautilus, and unfortunately I'm second in the draft and no one else has actually hovered, which is quite annoying. The reason this is actually important is because let's just say your jungler's hovering Eve and your top laner's maybe hovering, you know, Rise or Vlad or something. Yes, you can either type in chat saying, can you go AD jungle, so I don't have to blind pick an AD mid, or maybe you just pick an AD mid knowing that they really want to play those champions. That's something to think about also. The second thing you need to be thinking about is your ban. So I'm second, knowing that I'm second pick, that actually influences the ban I do. So straight away I'm thinking, well, since I'm second in the draft, first or second in the draft, I know I'm most likely going to be blind picking my mid laner, which means I'm already visualizing my blind pickable champion. So I'm thinking about, you know, potentially Twisted Fate. I'm thinking about maybe Orianna. I'm thinking about Syndra. I'm thinking about, you know, one of these champions that I personally love and have in my pool. So I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to blind pick Syndra, you know, I'm going to blind pick Orianna, I kind of don't really want to deal with Kassadin for this specific game. So I end up choosing to ban Kassadin. So, but if I was later in the draft, let's say I was, you know, down here 4th or 5th pick, I probably wouldn't ban Kassadin because it's likely that their mid laner is going to have to pick before me, and if they blind pick Kassadin, it's easy for me to counter pick. And I feel like as well then, instead of spending my ban on a specific ban for the champ that I want to play, then I can spend my ban on maybe an OP champion that's in the current patches OP. Maybe I can help out another laner on my team. Maybe I can ban a champion that I just personally really dislike. So this is kind of just something that I've learned in my experiences that can be quite handy. Next, I need to be thinking about if I'm later in the draft, I also need to be thinking about not just my 1v1 matchups. Let's say I'm 5th pick in the draft down here, and I see them blind pick a Zoe or something like that. I can view it one-dimensionally in the sense that, okay, there's Zoe, I'm just going to pick a counter pick. Or I can view the whole game. I can see, oh, I have an Elise jungle. So maybe I can play an AD champion to think about damage spread. Maybe I can think about the game pace. Do you think this is going to be a fast game? Are we got a lot of non-scaling on our team? Maybe I can complement that with, again, making sure I can pump the pace of the game up. Or maybe it's a very slow game. They have a lot of tanks. Maybe I need to play something that can shred through a lot of frontline. Maybe I need to be a hard carry since we have no... You know, you can optimize your pick by thinking about all these factors. Game state, damage spread, CC, all these elements when you're later in the draft. And it's all these little things that will actually help you climb elos by optimizing champion select. But again, when I'm heading in, and again, when you're heading into champ select, guys, you should already have in mind, or on paper, or on a document, your champion pool. You should have your blindable picks. You should have your niche counter picks. You should have, you know, your AD champions ready, your assassins, and keep in mind, okay, which situation best fits it. And again, tie it to how you tie it to your objectives that you were trying to achieve on that champion. Like I say, my recent video on Cassio, one of the first objectives is get to 850 gold for tier. You know, maybe if the game's super fast paced and there's going to be a lot of river skirmishes, a lot of aggressive champions, or maybe they have too much engage, maybe it's going to be a lot harder for me to actually play that slower pace of the game, and maybe that's just not suited for me. But again, when you're in lower elo, guys, it's not as important. It's more important to focus on play champions you love, play champions you're super comfortable on. But again, as the higher you get, the more important these little details will matter. So hopefully this video actually helps you guys. Hopefully I addressed a lot of the key questions or the key you know, issues that you guys have been having with champion pools. If you have any more questions on it, feel free to message me on Discord or in YouTube comments. Just because I was saying I get a lot of them doesn't mean I don't enjoy them. It's good to kind of help you guys as much as I can with champion pool stuff. But again, it's not as important as you guys think it is. The in-game stuff is what matters the most. This is all just optimization. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And stay tuned for another video coming out soon. Cheers.